everybody, and welcome back to the Offbeat Gardener. I'm gardening in Zone 7A. Today is August 11th, so it's been a little bit over a month since I filmed my last garden tour. I'm not going to go in depth with every single variety that I have going on here. If you want more information on the exact varieties that I have in my garden right now, I will link a video in the description box and over here for you to check out at your leisure. So today I just wanted to show you some stuff that's going on here. I just got back home from work. It's a little after 6 p.m. I'm tired, but I decided to do an impromptu garden tour just because and show you some of the changes that have been going on around here because the garden has exploded. I've harvested a ton of food and there's still so much more to harvest. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick tour, sort of. Not really, maybe. I don't know. I haven't finished filming this yet. Let's start over here. You can see all of my tomato plants are looking super raggedy and they've grown a tremendous amount. I have harvested a ton from this Berry's Crazy Cherry tomato plant. You can see it looks sickly, but there is some healthy growth going on, so there's that. There's lots of tomatoes still to be had off of this plant. And let's swing over here on this side where we have another very sickly looking Blueberry's cherry tomato plant. It still has fruit, so that's a good sign. And all of this growth up here, that's all new growth from this plant and the Berry's Crazy Cherry. So I'm just letting my tomatoes go wild at this point. I don't even care because number one, I don't have time to make everything look absolutely fabulous. And you know, it's just that time of year where the garden gets crazy. If you saw my last garden tour, you'll know that I had in every bag, I had 2 plants for the most part. Like, so for in this one, for example, I have the Blueberry's Cherry tomato. I used to have Purple Rain determinate tomatoes, and I have ripped most of those out because they were I got whatever fruit I could get out of them, and honestly, I doubt I'll ever grow them again because they've caused so much disease and damage. At least that's my guess. I know the weather's been really hot and humid around here and rainy and all that, so that for sure could have contributed to it, but at the same time, the Purple Rain tomatoes were not doing my garden any favors. So I had started probably like a month or so ago, I had started seeds for Grand Marshal determinate tomatoes. So the ones that I ripped out, the Purple Rain tomatoes that I ripped out, I have now replaced with the Grand Marshal. And you can see from this one right here, it's doing pretty good. So a lot of those little plants that you'll see, that's exactly what those are. So in this bag right here, again, transplanted a Grand Marshal, took out the Purple Rain. Here I have 2 cherry tomato plants. I also have one back here in this bag over there that are new, that have been recently, as of like I'd say 2 weeks ago, transplanted into these bags. One of them is a candy cherry tomato, which I believe is the one on the other side, and the one that's over here, well, there's 2 actually. I believe those are, gosh, I can't remember the name right now. For the life of me, I cannot remember what they're called. I'll insert their name here on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. But whatever it is that those tomato plants are, cherry tomatoes, they have been transplanted and they are starting to fruit. I'm very happy about that. There are flowers, as you can see right here, right over there. So they're doing pretty good. Here we have the mosquitoes are out and trying to eat me alive. Here we have some, right over here is a remnant of the Purple Rain tomato. That one I didn't rip out, but I did put a little baby Grand Marshal in here. So that Purple Rain is going to be coming out soon, because if you look over here, you can see that there's all of this is new growth, but it's not, I don't think it's going to set any fruit. And maybe it will, maybe it won't, I'm not sure. But frankly, at this point, I've had my fill with the Purple Rains, and while they're great tomatoes, the plants themselves are just kind of a nightmare. All these plants are super tall. They're way above the trellis, as you can see. And like I said, I have harvested a ton of fruit off of all of these plants. Because of the heat, they kind of went through a dry spell, if you will, but they're starting to bounce back. And instead of having all of the little flowers, you can see some more flowers up there, some blossoms over here too. Instead of dropping their blossoms, they're now producing again. So while these look crazy and wild, I'm just leaving them be. We did have a storm yesterday, a really bad one, a lot of heavy rain, and these plants are huge and heavy, so my trellis is looking a little not so great. I will fix that tomorrow morning. It's not gonna happen today. Like I said, I just got back home from work and I want to eat dinner and relax and chill out while I can, you know how it is. If you work a full-time job outside of the home, you know exactly what I'm talking about and exactly how I feel. Like I said, these plants, let's go on the other side. You can see these plants look wild and crazy. I did not even bother to trellis these up. We have some buds over there, some blossoms. I didn't really trellis these up that well, so that's why they look a little crazy. It is what it is, and that's all right. So let's swing over here to this little addition that I have. This was not here last time. They were just empty buckets, if I recall correctly. And I have since planted zucchini, green zucchini, in all of these containers. So what I originally did is I planted one seed in the middle of each of these, and till now they haven't come up. I don't know what happened to them, but nothing happened. So in a panic, I put a seed on this end and this end of each one of these containers, and they all came up, and in some cases 2 came up. Like here, there's 2 plants on this corner, there's 2 plants on this corner, everything else is just 1, and I'm just let it be. Like I said, I'm at that point in the garden where I'm just like, I really don't care. Let's just let this thing go crazy and wild and see what happens. Everything's an experiment at this point, which is a-okay with me. Yeah, so hopefully we'll be having some squash soon, or zucchini rather. Since we're over here, I'll show you the tomatillos and the Tabasco peppers. So these 2 bags right here are Tabasco peppers. They each have 2 plants in them. These 2 are tomatillos. They each have 2 plants in them. And I have already harvested tomatillos, probably close to, I don't know, maybe like 25, 30 tomatillos. The Tabasco peppers, like I said in my last video, they take a very long time to come to fruition. And I mean, you can see there is fruit on here, so that's good. And we still have blossoms and stuff coming up. This one, the one in this container, the second container to the left, is just now starting to set some fruit. It's a little behind, but that's because our good friend Tomatillo over here, these plants are massive, and if I had to guess, if I were to trellis them vertically, they're probably 10 feet tall, and I'm not even exaggerating. That's 100% the honest truth. I really, really, truly believe they're about 10 feet tall. So from this bag over here, let's try to trace it. Right over here, this is a tomatillo. So this over here is a tomatillo plant that has somehow made its way all the way from its original container over here, all the way, you can see the branch right there, all the way to where my Tabasco peppers are. But it's all good. These are still gonna do what they're gonna do. I will hopefully, if I have an opportunity, try to rearrange things a little bit, but you can see we have plenty of tomatillos. I mean, look at the amount of flowers. There's a lot going on here. The tomatillos have absolutely exceeded any possible expectation that I could have. There are so many tomatillos, so many buds, and I'm excited to have salsa for the rest of my life. Salsa verde for the rest of my life because of how many tomatillos are in here. So that's exciting. I know I said I wasn't going to go through every single variety, but here we are, so bear with me. These are the Morita peppers. When they're fully ripe, they ripen to red, and I for a second had to double check and make sure that I did not plant jalapenos here, because they very much look like jalapenos. I wasn't expecting them to be kind of this size, so I took a big old bite out of one of them just to make sure, and yeah, they are Morita peppers. They're actually really delicious when they're like this. And like I said in my last video, my last garden tour, my whole purpose for these and the guajillo peppers is to let them turn red and dehydrate them so that I can use them for different recipes such as like birria tacos and whatnot. The sun is going down slowly but surely, so the lighting is a little bonkers around here. So these 2 bags over here are pumpkin spice jalapenos, and you can see I've already picked off of these. We have some beautiful fruit here. Still a whole bunch more left to go. These plants are looking a little bananas, but it's all good. I'm gonna harvest all that fruit. And next door we have pumpkin spice jalapenos. You can see what that looks like right here. It's a beautiful orange color, a deeper color than the pumpkin spice. For some reason, I had a lot of trouble this year with the with the orange spice jalapenos. I'm not sure why, but they did. You can see they look really terrible. And the 3 that I had in this bag, I had to rip out. I took what I could off of them and have replaced them with some jalapenos, unknown variety. I have no clue what variety these are. These are from the seeds that I originally started back in February, and I just left them outside. They're still growing and kicking, so we put them there. Here, these 2 are lemon spice jalapenos. You can see right here an example. of what that looks like. That's what the lemon spice jalapeno looks like. All of these peppers over here are regular jalapenos. They're a tam jalapeno. If you remember in the previous clip what the Morita peppers look like, these look almost identical. They're just larger. The reason I'm letting some of these go red to be fully ripe is because I like making colorful, preserved, pickled jalapenos, and red is one color I don't have unless I let these go ripe. So, you know, I like to put a little bit of all the orangey yellow colors, a little red, a little green, and it turns out to be a beautiful thing. Here we have the collage pepper, which is a little tricky to see right now because of the lighting. You can see up here that they start off purple. This is towards the top of the plant. We do still have blossoms coming up. They start off purple. They're a little streaky, which is really cool. Then they turn green like this after that purple stage. And the final stage on this plant is when, if I can get to it, they turn yellow. That's when they're fully ripe. So it's a beautiful plant with different color peppers. These are supposed to be, I haven't tasted any of them, to be honest with you. I was waiting to film this video before I picked anything from this plant, or there's 2 plants I think in here, maybe even 3. No, there's 3. Yeah, so I have no idea what they exactly taste like, but they're supposed to be like a kind of like a bell pepper, like that kind of taste. Speaking of bell peppers, these are all bell peppers around here, all of these, and they are starting to change color. You can kind of see that a little bit. We have one in here that's changing color. These are changing color. These are kind of like an orangey color. Some more yellow ones. Again, the lighting is terrible right now, so it's hard to see, but trust me when I tell you. These over here are the ancho peppers, poblanos. I have a bunch of them in this container right over here, but also in this container right over here. And the plants are pretty tall. They're taller than me. I mean, this one isn't. This one right here isn't. But the one that's over there, that's taller than me. The ground cherries are looking crazy right now. I need to, you know what, while I'm here, like I said, everything is kind of a mess right now, but it's all good. It is what it is. And I've harvested a ton off of this ground cherry so far. They've been really delicious. You can see we still have fruit set in there. There's a ton of fruit. It's still putting off flowers and fruit, so that's good. So adorable. The guajillo peppers are in here. They're looking fabulous. That one's blushing a little bit on the top, which means I'll be able to harvest those soon. Here I have a bunch of, oh gosh, this is getting complicated. This is so complicated. In this mess over here, I have shishito peppers, and one of them is starting to change color. So if you can see this one here, starting to turn red. Right now it's like an orangey color, but they turn red when they're ripe. I have never eaten a red shishito pepper before. I've only eaten them when they're green, like this. I'm waiting for this one to ripen so that I can try it when it's red and see if there's any difference. But you can totally harvest these when they're green, and they're absolutely delicious. You don't need to wait for them to change color. Here's a quick look at the habanadas, which you can eat them at this stage. They turn like a bright orange once they ripen. So I'm letting these do their thing. And there's a whole bunch of them all over here. This plant has some too. So these are doing really well. Again, if you saw my last video, you'll know that I did plant a whole bunch of cucumber seeds in here for the second time, because the first time some critter ate them all up. Well, guess what? As many seeds as I planted, they ate those up too. So I started some in pots that I was planning to transplant out. This is the only survivor that I have from all of these cucumbers. And this one over here is doing a whole bunch of nothing. It's just this one little leaf. This one over here and this one over here are transplants that I just put in a couple days ago. And I only put 2 in there because I wanted to see if anything would eat them. And so far so good. They're hanging on. So probably this weekend I'm going to take the rest of the transplants and put them here, because I want cucumbers. I haven't had any cucumbers this season because somebody got to my plants before I could and they just didn't have a chance to grow. So here's just a quick look at the extra plants that I had. These are from the seeds that I started back in February, and I've just let these sit out here, and you can see even without any care whatsoever, they're still producing, which is bananas. Looking halfway decent, even though I have not watered them or fertilized them or done anything. I mean, they look nuts, but I mean, that just goes to show. Here's some ground cherries. I mean, look at that. So even when you neglect your plants, they will fruit for you. They're not going to do the best that they can, but they'll give you something. So that's just a little bit of encouragement. If you're like, you know, you don't have time to baby your plants, or, you know, conditions aren't ideal or whatever, the plants want to grow. That's why I'm showing you this. The plants want to grow. You can see that they're in this dingy water. with no care whatsoever, but they're still growing. So hopefully that'll encourage you a little bit. The kale over here is looking fabulous. I mean, this is a huge plant, huge plant. I've harvested off of this and it's just going and going and going. Here's our turmeric and ginger. Quick update on that. They look great. Some weeds back there too. My leeks, man, I'm upset about the leeks. I threw some leeks in here. They're doing pretty okay. The leeks that I have in the other two tubs like this, mostly they were tore up by squirrels and they're kind of struggling a little bit, but whatever, it is what it is. Leeks aren't terribly expensive, so if push comes to shove and I have to buy some organic ones to dehydrate, that's fine. I'm okay with that. Now, if you have a full-time job and a garden, you know that you can't get to everything. I have not replanted this green stalk. It's shameful, I know, but it's okay because life happens, and while I prioritize the garden as much as I can, I also have to prioritize work and life. So, you know, here we have our strawberries. You can see that they're doing all right. This is the second wave of strawberries. I had some in the spring. Here's a little, these are alpine strawberries. Look how teeny tiny that is. So if you're looking for a high producer with lots of fruit, this is not the variety for you because you can see, look how tiny that is. I mean, it's so small, but they're so good. I'm actually gonna eat this right now. Boop. Oh yeah, so good. It tastes like strawberry ice cream. It doesn't even taste like strawberries. It tastes like strawberry ice cream. So yummy, so fresh, but they're teeny tiny. So what I ended up doing, here are the other cucumbers, by the way. What I ended up doing, I took some store-bought pine berries, which are like white strawberries, and I started them from seed. You can see there's a little peel over here from when I stuck these in the soil. Some of them I dried and sprinkled the seeds, and I did that on this side. But on this side over here, what I did was I like sliced off a thin layer of the skin of the strawberry and just planted that without drying it out or anything. I just put it in the soil, and these are doing way better than these over here. I mean, there's barely any action on this side, but the ones that I planted with the skins, they look really good. So these need to be transplanted. I'm gonna give them a couple more weeks and transplant them into the green stalk because my goal is to turn that one particular green stalk into just a strawberry green stalk. We have some raggedy looking bok choy over here. This one over here, this thing went to seed, and I'm just letting it go to seed because I want to collect them. And I mean, they're growing, but they're not in the best shape, but I'm just letting them be. I'm gonna probably restart these in the fall anyway, so it's all good. And last but not least are the berry plants, which are doing pretty okay. They are growing. These are blackberries, blueberries, pink lemonade blueberries. This mess over here are raspberries, which are huge. They've completely exploded. It had a couple pieces of fruit on it maybe like a month ago, but they kind of shriveled up and died, and I'm not surprised because I think these are all supposed to fruit next year, so I just let them be. This one is empty. The currants finally took off. They grew a tremendous amount since I last filmed here, which I'm very happy about. The one that's in here right over there did nothing. The one that's over here, the stick looking thing, that did nothing. So what I ended up doing is I put 2 winter squashes in here. So these are spaghetti squashes. There's 2 plants. I put 2 seeds in the ground, and you can see they're starting to trail away. It's kind of a gamble, to be honest with you, as far as if they're gonna completely ripen so that I can save them for over winter. But again, I'm just letting stuff be. Whatever happens, happens. The world will not collapse if I don't have spaghetti squash out of these plants. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. You do the best that you can, and whatever happens, happens, and that's all you can hope for. As long as you get something out of your garden, we should all be happy about that, right? So again, here's a quick little view of the garden as it is the beginning of August. Again, the plants are looking crazy. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's going through this right now, but you know what? It's all good. We do have food coming in. I have already harvested a ton of food. There's a lot of food yet to be harvested, and that's kind of where we're at. So, you know, we all got to be encouraged no matter what, even when our plants look raggedy. I know I said this was going to be a quick video. I guess I was wrong, but it is what it is. And thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them down below. I'd be happy to hear from you, and let me know where your garden's at. Are you suffering with a particular plant like I am with the purple rain? Are you having major success with a particular variety? I want to hear everything that's going on in your garden. Have you harvested a lot? Are you putting your food up? What's going on in your neck of the woods? So on that note, thank you so much for watching again, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!